Alrighty guys, let's look at our Unit 2 test. You're on this video because you are wanting to make corrections to your test, which is awesome. Thank you so much for caring about your grade and for caring about making sure that you understand everything that we have learned for Unit 2. So I have in front of me a copy of the Unit 2 test. We took this test on Tuesday, October 6th. So maybe you were absent that day and you had to make up the test really quickly, or maybe you missed the review, or maybe you're just wanting to bring up your grade, and that's great. So you will need two things to do these corrections. You will need your original test, that way you know which questions you need to correct, and you will need a test correction form. And it looks like this, at least for my kiddos, it looks like this. And it's front and back, and there's room on here for 10 problems to be corrected. And so if you need to correct more than 10 problems, just grab a second one of these and staple it on there and just keep working. So I'm going to start by putting my name. You can fill this out with me, please. I'm going to put my class period, so maybe I'm periods 1 and 2, and my desk number. And the name of this test, you're going to see it right here, is just Unit 2 test. And then whatever your original grade was, you're going to put that right here. And the reason for that is that I can look right here and easily see what your new grade needs to be once I've given you points. Now I've altered this test correction sheet just a little bit. First of all, a reminder up at the top to staple this to the front of your test and put it in the corrections box. So if this is my test, I'm just going to take this paper and staple it on top right up here and turn it into the corrections box. You're also going to see another change. I've actually given you the number of points that each box is worth. And this could change later, but for right now, giving me the correct answer is only worth 1 point. Because really, the correct answer is not the biggest thing that I care about. I want you to get it right, but I want you to understand it more. Your work, showing all of your steps, is worth 2 points. And then the most valuable piece is why you got it wrong. And I don't want to know, like, oh, I skipped it, or I got it wrong because I forgot how to do it, or something like that, something that's generic. I want you to please explain the math concepts that you missed. So maybe when you multiplied, you forgot to count the number of digits after the decimal point. Or maybe you forgot how to add negative integers. And so I don't want you to just say, oh, I forgot how to add negative integers. I'd rather you go back in your notes and tell me exactly what you should have done also. Look up and see, how should I be adding these integers instead? That way, the more detail you give me here, the more points you're going to get. So to get all 3 points there, you need a really good, thorough explanation about why you missed it. Because if you can figure out why you missed it, then I know that you're not likely to make that same mistake next time. So I'm going to work through this entire test with you. And if there's something that you don't need, then that's great. You don't have to work out any problems that you got right. Only correct the ones that you got wrong. And I'm going to actually work it out on the test copy, but you're actually working on this paper in pencil, please. And if you write down everything that I write down for the work, then that will give you your 2 points for the work. Why you got it wrong, that's totally up to you. That's the part that you have to do on your own to get those other 3 points. So number 1 says, which number line represents the solution set for the inequality? Okay, this is an inequality, which means that it's not going to have an equal sign. So let's start working this one out. We have 8 minus 2x is less than 18. So remember, the first thing that I always want to get rid of in an equation or an inequality is whatever is not attached to x. So I want to get rid of this 8 first. I'm going to do the opposite and subtract 8 from both sides. When I do that, I'm left with negative 2x, because that negative sign stays with what follows it, is less than 10. I'm not finished yet. I still need to do one last step To get x by itself, I'm going to divide by -2 on both sides. And that's going to get rid of that number right there, so that all I have left is x. So I have x over here. I know that if the signs are different when I'm dividing, the answer is negative. But look, whenever I divide by a negative number, I have to swap my sign. So I'm going to get x is greater than -5. So let me look at my answer choices over here. I know it has to be greater than, and it's not equal to, which means that I can already cross out A and C, because the closed circle means that it could be equal to also, and it can't. So I need to know, does my arrow need to go this way or this way? And I know that some people got a little confused because it was hard to tell which side was darker. So our answer is going to be B. And the way that you can tell that is because our arrow is so big over here. On this one, on D, the arrow is bigger to the left. So maybe that's why you missed it, but if that is why you missed it, I need you to explain that very thoroughly. So right now, if you missed number 1 on your test correction sheet, you would put number 1. For the correct answer, you would put B. All of this work over here that I've drawn in this section, you should have in your workbox. And then why you got it wrong. For example, I might say, I missed this problem because I forgot to switch the sign when I divided by -2. So see how that's extremely detailed. I can tell exactly what it is that I messed up on just by looking at this part. So take just a minute to fill in why you missed it, if you missed number 1. Okay, and then let's look at number 2. A triangle has angles that measure 54.6 degrees and 17.8 degrees. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to draw a triangle. And this is not drawn to scale, by the way. Sorry. I'm going to say this is 54.6 degrees and this is 17.8 degrees. And I want to be able to figure out this angle right here. This will be x, says which equation can be used to find x, the measure of the third angle in the triangle. Well, I know that all triangles have to add up to 180 degrees. So I'm going to look here. F says that it all adds up to 360. That's not true. I can get rid of F. Letter G says x equals these two angles divided by 2. Well, that's not right. That would be if I wanted to find the average of those two angles. Here, 180 plus x, so the total number of the total number of degrees in a triangle plus this many degrees is going to equal these two added up. No, that's not true because I know that 180 is the max. That's the total. So I don't want to be adding x to that. J says this angle plus this angle plus this angle equals 180. And that is correct because we know all three have to add up to 180 degrees. So again, on your test correction page, I would be putting J as the answer for number 2. All of this work, we need to go over here into my workbox in order for me to earn 2 points there. And then it's up to you to explain why you missed it. You need to show me that you understand the concept well enough after doing corrections that you can tell me why you missed it. Okay, number 3, which problem situation matches this equation? So we have 6 by itself plus, this looks like maybe 50 cents or 0.5 per something because the 50 cents is next to X, equals a total of 26 something. Okay, so A says a carnival charges $6 to park, so that's $6 by itself plus 50 cents per ride ticket. And we know that we spent a total of $26, so that might be my answer. Let's come back to it. Okay, a person downloaded an app that cost $6 plus some songs for 50 cents each. How much did the person pay for the app and the songs if they downloaded 26 songs? Okay, well, yes, we have a 26 in here, but it's saying 26 times that 50 cents. Well, that's not what we want because we don't know how many times we're multiplying 50 cents. Letter C says a dog walking service charges $6 for each hour walking. I can go ahead just from that because this would need to be 6x, and then 50 cents for each dog would be like 50 cents times some other letter, D for dog. So here we would have 2 variables because we don't know how many dogs or how many hours. So let's get rid of C. Okay, Sarah earns $6.50 an hour babysitting. In order for that to work, we would need it to be 6 plus 50 cents, and then multiply all of that times the number of hours to get $26. But in this case, 6 is off by itself, so the only one that works is letter A. $6 by itself plus 50 cents per ticket. So go ahead and make sure that your test correction page is filled out for number 3. Okay, number 4. Alyssa read 25 pages of a new book the first day she bought it. After the first day, she read 5 pages per day. So I know that this is going to translate to 5x. If the book was 350 pages, which of the following equations can be used to determine how many days it took to finish the book? Okay, so I know I'm going to ignore these for a minute. And I'm going to say, okay, I know that all of it that she read was 350 pages. Now she read 25 pages the first day, but that has nothing to do with how many days. She didn't read 25 pages each day, just the first day. And then I'm going to add to that the 5 pages that she read on day 1, and day 2, and day 3, and all of those. So 5 pages per day after that. So let's see which one of these matches. Well, this one leaves out the 25 pages she read the first day. This one takes away the 25 pages she read the first day, and see, this is 250, not 350. H says that I'm reading 25 pages per day because X is attached to that. We don't want that. But J matches exactly what we came up with. So let's get this filled in on your sheet. Number 5, we're looking at this equation. 2 minus 3x equals 8. And notice they've actually given us a model. So we have 2, and then minus 3x, because they have negative signs, equals positive 8. So you can solve this either with the tiles or algebraically. So I'm going to do it algebraically this time. And I know that I first want to get rid of this because it's not attached to x. and I undo that by subtracting 2 from both sides. I'm left with negative 3x equals, that's 6. Now I need to divide both sides by negative 3, since that's what is attached to x. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is, the opposite of multiplying by negative 3 is dividing by negative 3. Let's divide by negative 3 over here. And we get x equals, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And since my signs are different, the answer is negative. So D would be our answer there. Okay, make sure that you are following along and that you're getting your test correction paper filled out completely so you can get maximum points. And let's look at number 6. Victor and his sister have both been saving money to help pay for college. Victor deposited $750 at a local bank 3 years ago, earning an annual simple interest rate of 4% paid upon withdrawal. So we have 3 important pieces of information. His sister deposited $800 3 years ago, earning an annual simple interest rate of 3%. So she's depositing more money, but she gets less interest. And it says, which statement best describes how much interest Victor earned compared to how much interest his sister earned after 3 years? So we need to figure out both of their interest before we can pick a statement. So let's look at Victor first. We know that this is an interest problem, and interest equals principal times rate times time. So interest is what we're looking for. Let's fill in everything else. His principal is $750. His rate is 4%. Now remember, when I want to change 4% to a decimal, I need to move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So I'm going to change that to 400. And the time is 3 years. So whenever I work this out, I'm going to multiply these 2 first. So let's look at, let me zoom out just a little bit here. 750 times 3 gives me $2,250 times 0.04. So now let's take 2,250 times 0.04. Make sure that you have this work on your test correction sheet. I'm going to need to see that in order to give you all of your points. Okay, and that's all zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros after my placeholder. And I have 2 digits behind the decimal in my answer. So interest is $90 for Victor. But we're not finished. We need to figure out his sister's interest. We're going to use the same formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Her principal is $800. That's what she started with. Her rate is 3%, so 0.03. And her time is 3 years, just like her brother. So if I multiply 800 times 3, we get 2,400 times my interest rate of 3%. Let's find some space. Let's see. Multiply this out on your correction page. And I have 2 digits behind the decimal, so she earns $72 in interest. So she deposited more money, but because of a lower interest rate, she ended up making less money from the bank. And so our answer would be H, that Victor earned $18 more interest because he earned $90 and his sister earned $72. Now again, this is a lot of math work, so make sure that if you need to take 2 boxes on your test correction page for this, that's fine. As long as I can tell what you're doing, you can take more space and grab another sheet if you need to. Number 7, we're solving an inequality. So if my inequality is 0.5 minus 3x is greater than or equal to 1 7/10, the first thing I want to get rid of is this number over here. So I'm going to subtract that from both sides because that's the opposite of it being added. Once I do that, I'm left with negative 3x is greater than or equal to, I can do my decimal operation right here. So that's 2, that's 1. And now I need to get x by itself. So instead of multiplying by negative 3, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So let's cancel those. We have x by itself now. But I need to switch my sign. So instead of being greater than or equal to, I'm going to change it to less than or equal to. Why? Because we're dividing by a negative number. And if we go over here and figure out what 1.2 divided by 3 is, I'm going to get 4/10. And that's a negative number because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And let's go over here. Notice all of our answers kind of look the same. You have to pay close attention to what the sign looks like. And D matches what we want. Remember, feel free to pause this video as you're doing your corrections. Make sure that you have everything you need. Number 8. Go ahead and read number 8 quietly to yourself. So we're assuming that this person works 40 hours per week and that a month has 4 weeks. So how much money does he need to make per hour, his minimum hourly wage, in order to make at least that much money? Well, I'm going to take his monthly total and I'm going to divide it by the number of weeks, which is 4. And that'll give me his weekly salary, and then I need to divide that by 40 hours to see how much he needs to make per hour. And so that's going to give us H. It's okay that they divided by 40 first. It's the same thing. Okay, looking at number 9. We have 3x plus 2 is greater than negative 1, and we see that this is also modeled for us using algebra tiles. So I'm going to do this one using the algebra tiles. So I want to get rid of these 2 positives. So to do that, I need to add a negative for each one of those positives. So I'm adding a negative 2x to the left. I'm sorry, a negative 2 to the left. And so I'm going to add negative 2 to the right. So those go away. And now I have 3 x's is greater than negative 3. So now when I divide this side into 3 parts, and I divide this side into 3 parts, each x is equal to a negative 1. And of course, we have our greater than sign. We didn't divide by a negative, so I don't have to switch the sign. And we find that x is greater than negative 1. Again, pause as you need to make sure that you're getting all the information on your paper. Number 10. The school librarian has a budget of $715 to spend on books. She orders from a company that charges $8 per book, plus, so this is going to be 8x because it's $8 per book, or I guess B in this case, 8B, plus $75 shipping fee. So that's just by itself. That's a flat fee. We're not multiplying that by anything. And she's using this inequality to try to figure out if she has enough. So she already had 50 books that she knew she wanted to order. And she wants to know, will she have enough money to add 45 more books? So let's figure that out. We can just plug in what we're given. We know 8 times the number of books plus $75 for shipping needs to be either less than or equal to $715. If it's over $715, then she won't be able to order all of those. So if I have 50 books and 45 books, that's 95 books. So now let's start solving. 95 times $8 is $760 just for the books, plus $75 shipping. So let's add $75 shipping. Uh-oh. $830 is not less than or equal to $715. So we know that the answer is no. We can get rid of these yeses. And now we need to figure out why. So let's see what we did. Is it $8 times 95 books plus $75? Or is it this down here, $8 times 50 books plus $75 for that order, plus $8 for the 45 books plus $75 for that order? Well, we know that we only have to pay the $75 shipping fee once because she's only ordering once. So we don't need 2 $75s. G would be our answer. Number 11. Go ahead and read this one to yourself. We want Michelle's total cost to be the least. So I'm going to add another column to the chart and call it cost. Now this one's easy. $110 with no rebate means that it's still going to be $110. Then let's look at central phones. $120 minus $10 off gives me $110 as my total cost. It looks like those two are tied right now. Let's look at phone forum. $125 and $16 off. I need to borrow. So that's $109. Now we're getting into percentages. So let's look at Big Town. I need to find what is $120 times 10%. And I did 0.10 because that's the equivalent decimal for 10%. Those are zeros. Put an X. And I need 2 digits behind my decimal, so that's $12 off. So $12 is not my cost, that's how much I'm saving. So let's do 120 minus 12. Big Town cost $108. And then Main Street is going to give us 30% off of $160. So 30% is 0.30. I need 2 digits behind the decimal in my answer. So I'm going to save $48. But look, they're also the most expensive, so I hope I would be saving that much. $160 minus $48 gives me $112. So they're actually still the most expensive, even though I get 30% off. So which one's going to have the lowest cost? Big Town Electronics. Make sure that you have all of this work shown so that you can get your credit and that you explain why you missed it mathematically. Last one, we're finding the value of x, and then this is a bubble question, which a lot of us kind of struggle with, so we're going to practice this throughout the year. Let's start with 9x plus 8.9 equals negative 12.7. So another hard thing on this question is that we're dealing with positive and negative integers, which we tend to struggle with. So you may want to have your integer notes out. I'm going to start by subtracting 8.9 from both sides. And I'm left with 9x equals something. So let's come down here. I have negative 12.7 minus 8.9. Well, I know from my integer rules that if I am subtracting, I need to keep it, change it, change it. So I'm left with negative 12.7 plus negative 8.9. And now I have an addition problem. If I'm adding and the signs are the same, which they are, negative and negative, then I'm going to add and keep the sign. So I know my answer is negative. You should be going through this work every time you have to add or subtract integers. So negative 21 6/10 is what needs to go up here. So all of that just for one step, but it's worth it because we're going to get the answer right. So now we need to get x by itself, undo multiplication by dividing both sides by 9. X is all alone now. And now I'm dividing a negative by a positive. And I know if I'm dividing and the signs are different, my answer will be negative. So I can go ahead and put my negative sign there. And then let's just do 21.6 divided by 9. Bring that decimal up to your answer. 9 does not fit into 2, but it goes twice into 21. So 2 times 9 is 18. I have 3 left over. Bring down your 6. And I know that 4 times 9 is 36. So my answer is negative 2.4. So now when I'm going to put this in my bubble box, I need to write it up here, negative 2.4, and it's over here because that's where my decimal point has to stay. And then I have to bubble in my negative sign, and then the numbers that correspond with my answer. Now, it's fine if you want to bubble in that 0, or maybe the zeros in front. Those are fine. You don't have to. But always be in the habit of bubbling the negative or the positive sign. That way you don't leave off that sign sometime. So please go back over any questions that you need some extra time on. Feel free to rewind and replay the video. And tomorrow when you come to class, you should have your test correction sheet stapled to the top of your test, and you can just put it in my corrections box to get your bonus points. Thank you.